This is Athens in the end of November, just before Christmas, and this is the National Library with a statue of Georgios Gennadios at the front. Georgios Gennadios was one of the first ministers of the Greek state under Capodistrias and later under King Otto. He was an intellectual who donated his personal library to the Greek state, and it formed the core of the library holdings here. Even before Greek independence, together with Neophytos Doukas, Gennadios had been soliciting donations for the establishment of a Greek university in the area of Zagori that at the time had considerable autonomy from the Ottoman Empire. Next to the National Library is the old building of the University of Athens, the first Greek university founded in the mid-19th century. It looks busy. Perhaps there is a convocation going on. Next to the University of Athens there is another neoclassical building, the National Academy, also from the 19th century.
Πως ήμουνα μεγάλος κι από σπουργίτη θα γινόμουνα αϊτός.
The entrance to the National Academy is especially evocative, with the statues of Plato and Socrates on either side of the stairway. High above are the statues of Athena and Apollo. They are also copies of classical prototypes. So this is the beautiful side of Athens, the familiar view tourists get to see. So far, with the exception of the street musician who sounded rather dejected, everything looked normal. I grew up in Athens and never ventured too far from the tourist spots myself in recent times, but it so chanced that I had some business in the area known as Plato's Academy. From there I walked back to the center of Athens and passed through some of the Athenian neighborhoods. What I witnessed was, for me, unimaginable. I began to wonder if I was dreaming or if I had traveled to a parallel universe. This was nothing like the Athens I remembered from my childhood. When Greece became part of the EU, much of the industry was bought up by Siemens and other corporations, but at least the small businesses in the neighborhoods had survived. Now it looks as if even the small businesses are in trouble. A sense of abandonment begins to emerge. Several shops have been locked up. It looks like the majority of them are locked up here. And there is graffiti on the shutters. There are foreigners wandering the streets, hardly any Greeks. And the graffiti looks like the work of drug addicts. Hardly any normal person would do this sort of thing anyway. So it's just nothing but closed up shops around here. They've all been shuttered up There is a sense of desertion and abandonment. This is not the city I remember. There's hardly a shop that's open. This is truly incredible. Behold the abomination of desolation. The only people on the streets are Syrian refugees. It seems, and a few other foreigners. Very colorful graffiti from presumably drug addicts. Finally, a Greek couple drinking coffee, the only shop open along this street. And here finally I am approaching a square, and there are signs of life here. But still plenty of graffiti, still plenty of closed up shops. I'm on my way to the center of Athens. Here's an accountant's office. It looks open. There is a government building on the other side. But that's the only thing that remains open along this street. Unbelievable. And what you see at the far end is Athena's street. This is the old market of Athens, one of the busiest streets. And just next to it, the side streets, just parallel to it, just next to it, right in the middle of Athens, next to the busiest street in the old market, there is this graffiti city, just desolation. Not a single shop is open. Here's an open shop. And here, the only person working along the street has hung his wares along the railings of the shutters of the nearby shops. There he is, the only man still doing business along the street. Look at this abandonment. I grew up in Athens under the dictatorship, and those were hard times, but this is in a parallel universe. This is the place called Psyri, and as I said, it's nearly Christmas. We are walking towards Monastiraki Square. There's nothing, just graffiti. They look lost, they look amazed. I'm not the only one left in awe. Those of you who know Athens may have realized we're just 100 yards from one of the busiest, most touristy places in Athens, the Monastiraki train station. This is unreal. So there it is, Monastiraki Square, Monastiraki train station. Here's Plaka, the beginning of it, the Acropolis in the background. We're not lost in some far-off corner and some ghetto place. This is the center of Athens, and this man, I hope this is not his shop. Now I walked up a bit along Athena's street, and I'm nearly at Omonia Square. This is the street of Aeolos. There's still business here. There is a closed-up shop there and some Syrian refugees. And just a few meters further down is the city hall. The city hall of Athens. Some ruins accidentally discovered, and here the central building of the National Bank of Greece. Next to it, the Athens stock market. So this is the economic hub of Athens, perhaps the economic hub of all of Greece. Let's walk on. So right next to the National Bank of Greece, another closed-up shop. In fact, an entire street of closed-up shops. These shops here are still open. A fenced off area, God knows why. This kiosk is still operating, but on the other side of the street all the shops are closed. And this is Stadiou Street. This is the Oxford Street of Athens. There's not a single shop on the other side of the street that's still in business. Apparently there are often demonstrations along the street, especially recently, so there's been some damage to the shops by the demonstrators. But this cannot be the whole story, because there are shops that are open. More closed up, locked up shops. Here's a sign calling for a demonstration outside the German embassy. And this block on the opposite side, this neoclassical building, used to be the building with the most expensive shops in Athens. The prices here were untouchable. You could barely care to look because the prices were so high it was pointless to even looking at the shopping windows. There are closed up shops on this side, but the other side, where the expensive shops were, that's completely abandoned. Not one shop in this entire shopping arcade is open. All the shops in this entire shopping arcade have been abandoned except for this one. There is a shop selling Greek flags. I guess Greece is still a state. States need flags.